Sepsis. It's one of the planet's deadliest conditions. But here's the crazy part. It's not some invading army. It's more like a civil war happening inside your own body. So today, we're going to break down the world's unified battle plan to win that war, the brand new 2026 Surviving Sepsis Guidelines. Let's get right into it.
So why should you care? Well, to get a sense of just how big this is, you got to look at the numbers. Every single year, almost 49 million people around the world get sepsis. I mean, just let that sink in. That's not just a statistic. That's a full-blown global health crisis.
And out of those 49 million cases, around 13 million of them will be fatal. We're not talking about some rare, far-off disease here. This is a top cause of death happening everywhere, which is exactly why getting everyone on the same page with a single strategy is, well, it's absolutely critical.
All right, so what is this enemy we're actually fighting? We call it sepsis, but the real culprit might surprise you.
Okay, this is the key thing to understand. Sepsis isn't the infection itself. It's not the pneumonia or the UTI. It's the body's response to that infection. Think of your immune system like a highly trained army. Normally, it attacks invaders. But in sepsis, that army goes completely haywire. It gets dysregulated and starts attacking you, your own tissues, your own organs. It's a catastrophic case of friendly fire, a full-on civil war that can shut down the entire body from the inside.
So how do you fight a war like that? A complex, internal battle? You can't just wing it. You need a rock-solid strategy, a global playbook that every single doctor, nurse, and hospital can follow.
And here it is. This is the playbook. It comes from the Surviving Sepsis campaign, which basically brings together the world's top minds on this stuff. And when I say world's top minds, I mean it. We're talking 69 experts from 23 different countries, all working together on one unified plan. It's a massive global effort to get this right.
But what's the whole point of a giant document like this? Well, this quote really nails it. The goal is to take thousands of super complicated research papers and distill them, boil them down into clear, actionable recommendations. Something a doctor or nurse can use right there at the bedside when the pressure's on.
Now, to actually use this playbook, you first have to learn its language. And it's all about these symbols. Think of them like a visual code that instantly tells the clinician everything they need to know about a specific recommendation.
And cracking the code is actually pretty simple. It breaks down into 3 parts. First up, direction. Is this something we should do or something we should not do? Easy enough. Second, strength. Is this a strong recommendation, like a you absolutely have to do this, or is it conditional, more of a you should probably consider this? And third, certainty. How good is the evidence backing this up? Is it high-quality, rock-solid science, or is it, a bit weaker? These 3 simple things guide some of the most important decisions in medicine.
Okay, let's see this playbook in action. We're starting with the first response, the initial fight. This is all about the golden hours, where speed is everything, and every single minute, literally every minute, counts. All right, first thing in any battle, you got to find the enemy. And that's what recommendation number 4 is all about, using the right tools for early reconnaissance. Think of screening tools like News or Muse as super-sensitive radar systems. They are designed to pick up on the faintest early signals of sepsis. On the other hand, an older tool like QSOFA, well, it's just not as sensitive. It can miss early cases, and that's a huge deal, which is why the guidelines now push for these better, more sensitive systems.
The moment that radar gets a ping, what happens next? Recommendation number 2 says you launch a code sepsis, or a sepsis huddle. Now, this isn't about some lone wolf doctor saving the day. Nope, this is about teamwork. It's about getting a rapid response team, the bedside nurse, the physician, the pharmacist, the unit manager, all together right there to confirm what's happening and kickstart treatment immediately. And this slide is a perfect example of how clear the playbook is. It's a big, flashing, do this. Recommendation 16 is a strong one. For a very good reason. It says you've got to hit the infection hard and fast with antibiotics, and you have to do it within 1 hour of recognizing sepsis. Think of it like calling in an immediate airstrike on the infection. Time is absolutely critical.
But just as important as what to do is what not to do. And the playbook is crystal clear on that, too. For a while, you might have heard some buzz about using high-dose IV vitamin C for sepsis. Well, the research was done and the evidence just didn't pan out. So recommendation 81 is a strong recommendation against using it. And this is so important. The guidelines aren't just about telling doctors what works, they're also about stopping them from using treatments that don't.
So you've launched the initial counterattack, but the battle is far from over.
The body is still in a state of chaos, so the next phase of the playbook is all about reinforcing the defenses and supporting the vital organs that are taking a beating. One of the biggest problems in sepsis is when blood pressure tanks. That's called septic shock, and it's incredibly dangerous because it means your organs aren't getting enough oxygen. Recommendation 44 is all about how to manage this. The first step is usually giving IV fluids to bring the pressure back up, but not just any fluids. The guidelines now suggest using what are called balanced crystalloids instead of just plain old normal saline. Why? Because they're a bit gentler on a body that's already under an immense amount of stress.
The lungs, they're often one of the first casualties in this internal war. So for patients who need a ventilator to help them breathe, recommendation 71 is critical. It basically says to use a low tidal volume strategy. What that means is using smaller, gentler breaths. It might seem counterintuitive, but trying to force too much air into already inflamed, fragile lungs can actually cause even more injury. It's all about providing support without causing any more collateral damage.
Okay, but what about after the immediate crisis is over? After the battle seems to be won? This is where we see a huge, and I mean huge, evolution in how we think about sepsis. The focus is shifting to what comes next, winning the long and often difficult peace, which is recovery.
You know, for so many people, surviving sepsis is really just the beginning of a whole new battle. Many patients deal with something called post-sepsis syndrome. We're talking about lasting problems like chronic pain, exhaustion, cognitive issues like brain fog, and even anxiety and PTSD. So yeah, walking out of the hospital, that's definitely not the end of the journey.
And this is why this section of the new guidelines is such a game changer. For the first time ever, there is an entire section dedicated just to long-term outcomes and recovery. This signals a massive shift in thinking. It's no longer just about survival. It's about helping people actually get their lives back.
So now the playbook has specific advice for life after the hospital. Things like actively screening survivors for physical, cognitive, and emotional issues. It calls for making sure mental health support is available. And, so importantly, it stresses educating patients and their families on what to expect during recovery so they know they aren't alone, and that this long road is, unfortunately, part of the process.
So there you have it. That's the global battle plan. It's the result of incredible teamwork, decades of science, and it's all designed to save millions of lives and help millions more truly recover. And that just leaves one final, really important question for all of us. This is the world's best plan to fight sepsis. Is it being used at your hospital?